So this happened, and believe it or not, getting knocked to the ground by Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez and later suspended 6 games for his role in the bench clearing brawl might not even be the low point of this season for Chicago White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson. You see, Anderson's campaign, and frankly his entire career for that matter, have been cratering lately, and it's likely only going to get worse before it gets better. If it gets better. Tim Anderson is no stranger to controversy or league-directed punishment, whether it's bat tosses, beanballs, brawls, social media posts, umpire contact, or obscene gestures. Controversy is a way of finding Tim Anderson, and vice versa. But something else has been chasing the once promising young star lately, something arguably far worse than all of the above. Underproduction in his performance. Tim Anderson was once considered one of baseball's most electric players. His name was mentioned alongside those of Ronald Acuna, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Juan Soto in discussions of the next generation of stars who bat flipped, wore their feelings on their sleeves, and never apologized for any of it. He was the face of the Chicago White Sox when it came to the younger generation. Then something happened. The former Gold Glove and Silver Slugger winner's performance fell off a cliff, and so did the fortunes of the White Sox. He's gone from electrifying all-star to public nuisance, from AL batting champ to one of the easiest outs in the league with almost no pop to speak of. And now, after being suspended for the 4th time in 3 seasons, we're left with pretty much one question. What the hell happened to Tim Anderson? Tim grew up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, raised by his aunt and her husband while his dad served a lengthy prison sentence for cocaine trafficking. At first, baseball wasn't even a consideration. As Anderson once put it, nobody bleeping plays that sport where I come from. TA wanted to be a basketball player and was the flashy high school point guard who led his team to an Alabama state title. His dream was the NBA, and then he broke both of his legs in separate incidents. Anderson decided to try baseball and had some success, but still, his only offer coming out of high school for further play was from East Central Community College in Decatur, Mississippi. Anderson gave it a shot, hit nearly .500 his sophomore year, and was drafted in the 1st round by the Chicago White Sox in 2013, going from no-name to 1st rounder nearly overnight. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. This busy fall season, you can count on Factor for fast, tasty meals that fit your lifestyle. Their menus are updated weekly and currently include 34+ chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options with an assortment of 45+ add-ons. You can either choose your favorite meals or let Factor craft your order based on your taste preferences and meal history. Factor also offers keto, calorie smart, chef's choice, and vegan plus veggie options, which include seafood, meat, and plant-based meals. Meal plans range from 4 to 18 meals per week, and you can add more or reduce the number depending on your specific needs. Plus, you can easily skip a week if you need to. I personally enjoy that unlike other food prep services, the food is ready-made and easy to cook, which very much fits my fast-paced lifestyle as a content creator. So, head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code MTC50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's Factor75.com with code MTC50 for 50% off your first box. Anderson rose quickly, playing with an electrifying intensity at every level he made a stop at, and impressed with his tools as well, batting over .300 with solid pop during his 4 seasons in the Bush Leagues. He made his big league debut at age 22 in 2016, doubling in his first at-bat against the Kansas City Royals as the crowd at US Cellular Field went nuts. He finished that first season hitting .283 in over 400 at-bats, and ranking 7th in AL Rookie of the Year voting. At this point, with an exactly 100 OPS plus, 738 OPS, and just 2.1% home run rate, it was clear he would need a bit more seasoning before really coming into his own. Regardless, given his still impressive success and star potential, Anderson was poised to be a prominent black role model in a game that has seen its African American participation crater in recent years, and he was determined to do his part. "I'm here to change the game," he told one reporter. "I'm here to show these kids that it's okay, baseball is cool, and you can play it." During the next 2 seasons, he showed signs of progress, adding some pop in 2017 with 17 dingers, then 20 in 2018. He also posted an impressive 2.3 D-WAR that season, after performing inconsistently on this front before. Then, in 2019, things would come together for Tim Anderson. He took the league by siege in some pretty interesting ways. Despite walking only an insane 15 times, he hit .335, good enough for the league batting title. Of his free-swinging ways, Anderson said, "I ain't in there to wait around." He used his exceptionally quick hands to stay inside the ball and hit it up the middle or to the opposite field. He also hit 18 home runs, stole 17 bases, and knocked 32 doubles. Anderson also led the league in something else, errors with 26, along with seeing his D-WAR drop a full 2 wins all the way down to a barely positive 0.2. But the world was his oyster now, and he talked boldly about winning a Gold Glove. He talked confidently about a lot of things, including a direct quote of simply, "I'm gonna be the best." The outgoing shortstop even launched his own YouTube channel and vowed to take back Chicago from the popular Cubs. It seemed like Sox fans couldn't get enough of their cocky shortstop, especially when he garnered headlines for his aggressive bat flips. The pandemic was tough on a lot of people, but when it came to Tim's performance, you wouldn't have been able to see anything to indicate it was so for him on the field. Quite simply, Anderson picked up where he left off, leading the league in runs while hitting .322 with career highs in OPS+, slugging, and OPS, even winning his first Silver Slugger award along the way. And guess what? It didn't end there. The 2021 season might have been Tim Anderson's best full campaign. He was named to his first All-Star game, posted a career-high 4.7 WAR, and notched another impressive batting average of .309. His OPS+ was also still sitting healthy at 118. It looked like Tim Anderson might very well accomplish all he had set out to do, with himself now being considered a star, his team on the cusp of a deep playoff run, and his city in the very palm of his hand. And while what came next is surely surprising, I don't think anyone could have predicted just how bad things would get for TA and the White Sox. The 2022 season started ominously for Tim, and more specifically, on the bench, where he had to serve a 2-game suspension for his part in a brawl with the Tigers during the final game of the previous season, in which he had bumped umpire Tim Timmons. It would not be Anderson's only suspension of the season. He made contact with another umpire arguing balls and strikes and got 2 more games off. And after flipping off fans in Cleveland, he received another suspension that was reduced to a fine. He also had a verbal tussle with Yankees third baseman and provocateur Josh Donaldson, who referred to Anderson as Jackie, in reference to a 2019 Sports Illustrated article in which Anderson said he felt like today's Jackie Robinson. Anderson answered that jab with his play, hitting a home run against the Yankees, and then with his mouth, hollering, "Everybody shut the F up," after circling the bases. That was more so the off-the-field stuff that began being more and more a part of his brand. But on the field, Anderson continued to produce. The shortstop made his second consecutive All-Star team and hit above .300 for the 4th year in a row. However, his defense regressed to negative numbers once again. His decent power output fell drastically, and he battled a groin injury early before a torn hand ligament ended his season after just 79 games. With the White Sox finishing under .500 as well, it seemed obvious that this was Tim's toughest campaign in a while. But with him still being under 30 years old and having consistently produced now for over half a decade, it didn't seem to be in question that his performance level would pick up right where it had left off, perhaps even leading the Sox back into playoff contention. Enter 2023. Through 91 games this season, Anderson is hitting .240, with an on-base percentage of .286, while slugging a jaw-dropping, get the pun, .287. He has just a single home run, tallied here recently. His OPS+ is a disastrous 59. Tim Anderson hasn't just declined in 2023, he is now among the worst hitters in Major League Baseball, ranking near the bottom of leaderboards in OBP, slugging, OPS+, WRC+, as well as nearly every baseball savant hitting category. On top of all of that, according to Baseball Reference, he has a WAR of negative 1.6. I'll say that again, a negative 1.6 WAR. If he continues at this level, his season will rank among the worst campaigns by any player in the last decade. Fangraphs also has him at negative 12 defensive runs saved. In other words, someone who once led the league in hitting and boasted actively about how great his fielding would be is now actively hurting his team whenever he steps onto the infield or into the batter's box. So, what on earth happened to Tim Anderson? Let's start with injuries. Anderson has dealt with consistent issues since 2018, and has already had to deal with a knee sprain and shoulder soreness this season. The knee problems have definitely affected his running. His sprint speed has gone from 28.3 feet per second in 2022 to a below average for a shortstop 27.2 this year, and his 4.8% infield hit rate is the lowest it's ever been by a long way. Still, there's much more going on here than just injuries, and if you look closely at the numbers, Anderson's decline may have been written in the stars for a while now. Perhaps it was almost inevitable. For starters, Anderson hardly ever walks, and has a high chase rate. His hitting success in the past has been heavily dependent on having a high batting average on balls in play. Over the years, he's managed to mostly maintain this with a BABIP ranging from 372 to 389 during his best seasons, but last year, this dropped to 347, and is down again to 309 this season. When Tim Anderson puts the ball in play, he's not getting hits at nearly the same rate he used to. Why? Davey Andrews at Fangraphs has a few suggestions. Quote, first, Anderson's ground ball rate, which has always been high, is off the charts this year. He has the highest ground ball rate and lowest fly ball rate in the league, both by nearly 10 percentage points over the nearest player. Anderson's grounder to fly ball ratio is 4.2. That's insane. In the past 25 years, only one other ball player has come near that kind of ratio, Ben Revere back in 2012. And if you can remember, Ben Revere was a slash and dash speedster, not a former AL batting champion like Anderson. He also added, another key reason for Anderson's decline, his plate discipline. Anderson has always had high swing rates, but has changed what kind of pitches he is swinging at. His swing rates against fastballs have declined dramatically, which means that breaking pitches make up a higher percentage of what he swings at, which is not good if you have a career WOBA of 346 against fastballs, and just 260 against breaking balls. So, Anderson for some reason is taking more fastballs, and making weaker contact overall against breaking balls. These are some alarming trends, especially for a player who's running slower, barely ever walking, and showing pretty awful defensive abilities. So, is there still time for Tim Anderson to find his groove again? Will getting knocked to the ground by Jose Ramirez and suspended be the moment that leads him to turn it all around? He is still just 30 years old, younger than some of the players like Giancarlo Stanton and Billy Hamilton, whose declines we've traced. So, on the one hand, there is more time for Tim, but on the other, his decline is all the more alarming since he still is so young. This is the part of his career that he should be peaking, not falling off so dramatically. It seems unlikely that Anderson will ever rise to the heights of the OPS pluses of 120 to 140 again, or to a BA as high as 300. But the law of averages alone would suggest that he will improve substantially on his current OPS plus of 59, especially given the elite bat-to-ball skills he has shown in the past and his still relatively young age. Where he ends up on this spectrum of great to poor is anyone's guess, but it does seem unlikely he'll continue playing as poorly as he is now. But if he continues to hit more and more weak ground balls while running slower and slower, it's going to be hard for him. And it's also going to be hard for the White Sox to justify keeping the defensive burden he's become at shortstop. At the moment, they don't have a replacement ready, though top prospect Colson Montgomery was recently promoted to Double-A. To make matters worse, they apparently had no takers for Anderson at the trade deadline. White Sox manager Pedro Grifol continues to demonstrate faith in Anderson, telling reporters, "I believe he's going to turn this around and be the player he's always been." But perhaps the player Tim Anderson has always been existed right before our eyes, swinging wildly, making brash statements, and flailing at routine ground balls. Baseball is frickin' hard, and nothing is ever guaranteed. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you get knocked on your ass. Now, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and click this playlist for other essay content just like this. Have a great day, everyone.